Outlander Insider. This week we're breaking down Season 6, Episode 5, which sees Jamie and Claire leave Fraser's Ridge and reunite with a few old friends, Brianna announced some exciting family news, and Malva caught in a compromising position. Megan, welcome back. It's so glad to have you for this week's recap. What did you think of the episode?
It was such a gripping episode, this one, and there are so many cliffhangers and unanswered questions that have been kind of brought into the mix for Episode 5. So I'm definitely so excited to see what happens in next week's episode.
Yeah, I think you're right. There were multiple questions that we need answering, and I cannot wait to see where the season goes. The standout moment of this episode was the return of a fan favourite, Lord John Grey. He's back, and we were so delighted that we had the actor who portrays him, David Berry, speak to us for this week's Insider. Until fans saw the promo for this episode, I think they had no idea you'd be making a comeback this season. Was it kind of your plan to keep this on the down low and make it a bit of a secret?
No, none of that is in my control. Although I do like it. It worked out in my favour. I think Lord John always works best when it's a bit of a surprise that when he turns up, just makes his appearances all the more impactful and all the more welcoming when I get to come back. I like to. It's kind of cool to keep the audience in a state of suspense and tension.
So John Grey has become such a huge character and such a fan favourite as well, both on screen and in the books. What do you think it is about John that makes him so popular? I
think that I'm very fortunate to play a role that Diana's invested a lot of her time and obviously she's written a lot about this character. He has his own book series, and I think there's always already that established fan base and that amazing source material. So I'm lucky to just step into that. From my point of view, I think that what's special about Lord John is, in a show that can be quite brutal and cruel at times, he's a character that consistently displays kindness and care and love in everything that he does. And then in another aspect, I think that endears audiences to Lord John is that he's essentially the audience's POV when they're looking at Jamie. He's the way that the audience relate to, audiences are quite infatuated with Jamie, as we know. And so is John. And every time he has his heart eyes and looking at Jamie, I think the audience can immediately connect with that and be like, I'm completely can connect with that feeling.
Yeah, I think we really do see a lot of ourselves in Lord John.
Yeah, definitely. We all know in the show that John has very romantic feelings for Jamie. Do you think in this season that we might see him go against the loyalists in order to help out Jamie?
Lord John is always consistently has stuck his neck out for Jamie. I think as far as his motivations are concerned, he's always someone who's led by the heart and not the head. And although he's very good at thinking things through and he's a great strategist, he's someone that, in spite of himself, always acts by his heart. Inevitably, that's going to put him at odds with his own allegiance to the crown, because Jamie's put him in a tough position. He's obviously allied himself with the Sons of Liberty, and that's going to be a cause of a lot of tension in their friendship moving forward, because Lord John can't consistently put himself in harm's way for Jamie, especially if Jamie isn't reciprocating that care and consideration towards Lord John.
I know that you started filming at a time when things weren't entirely back to normal. Did it make returning to set all that more, complicated and worrisome?
Yeah, actually, exactly. Returning to Outlander was full of a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Was full of a lot of drama itself, because it was extremely challenging with COVID, especially as coming from Australia, because Australia had very, very strict COVID restrictions. And so I was extremely privileged to be able to come from Australia and shoot in the UK. But of course, that came with it a lot of complications. The risk, of course, that I might be stranded in the UK, and the health concerns, because at that time, Australia had not had any incidences really of COVID at all. We were living open and free. And to come from that place of safety into the UK, where everyone was locked down and very much struggling with it at that time, was a huge shock to me. But I'm very fortunate in the end that I did get to work during that time. because it was such a, as we all know, a very challenging time for everyone. And to be creating art during that time was, like I said, a special thing.
I mean, the question I think they're all going to be asking after this episode ends is, are we going to see more of him for the rest of the season?
Well, I'm glad that people have that question in their minds, because that's the way, as we know, I like to keep it. Yes, Lord John will be in future episodes.
With those future episodes as well, do you think there might be a chance that we might see more of John's son, William? Because obviously in this episode, we do kind of hear a little update on him. And so I think fans will be quite eager to know if we actually get to see Jamie's son.
I'm sure they would be. I can't give any away specifics. They're dating me there, but I can tell you that, you know, wherever John goes, William is close in his heart, as well as close in the heart of Jamie. So I'm sure that whether he's there in person or not, it will be something that will be discussed and will have an influence on the storyline going forward.
Leaving us in suspense.
I'm great at doing.
One of the bits that stuck with me for a long time is the bit we get halfway through the episode with Malva. Malva isn't in this episode much, but when we do see her, it's kind of an odd one. We find her in a compromising position. I didn't know this was Malva's character, and I don't know if this is Malva's character, especially because immediately after that, she seems to threaten Roger. What did you make of that?
Yeah, we're definitely starting to see like a real different side to her, something that we haven't seen, I think, so far in the season. And I think we definitely are realising now that she's not as innocent as she claims to be. Whatever her motives are for blackmailing Roger, we don't yet know. But I think as the season goes on, we're going to realise that there's so much more to her that we haven't yet found out.
Yeah. But like I said, there's not much more time to go. You know, we're really going to have to reveal a lot in the next few episodes. But completely opposite of that, we did get some good news this episode. Brianna's pregnant again.
I know, I was so happy for her and Roger. It's so nice to see them, you know, getting to go through this process again of having a baby. It's been lovely to see them bond with their son, and now knowing that another baby is coming into the mix, it's going to be lovely for as well Jamie and Claire to welcome another grandchild.
Yeah, I know. Oh, so like, you know, with all the bad, there's always some good mixed in. I don't think we'll see the baby before the end of the season, but who knows. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.